This is David with the Paranormal Sessions podcast. This is kind of like an update to my previous video about the dark cloud that was hanging down. That if it did it again, I was going to get the holy water, bless myself, and then put on my ring and put my arm up in the cloud. Well, that's what happened. I believe it was 4 days ago. And so I woke up around, 11 o'clock, and there's the dark cloud hanging down. It wasn't quite as low as before, but it was still pretty low. So I went in, got my holy water, which is right next to me, went into the bathroom, and I didn't want to turn the light on because then you got to wait for your eyes to adjust to the dark. So I blessed myself, put it on my ring, and I went back out there and I stuck my arm up, and all of a sudden I assumed some like breakup or something like that. And of course it doesn't work like that, but I was kind of hoping I'd see like a, major reaction immediately. So, I looked at it and I could see the yellowish white light of the Holy Spirit. That got a little bit brighter, and I really couldn't see much on the bottom. If it shrunk, it must have not enough for me to even notice. So I went back to bed, and it must have been around, around midnight. So I wake up and the yellowish white light's a little bit bigger and the bottom is shrunk just a little. I could tell there's been some shrinkage, but not enough to really be, make a big change. So I go back to sleep, and then I woke up around 5, I guess, and the bottom had really shrunk, about half of what it was before, and the yellowish white light was a lot bigger. So I figured, hey, I made some progress. I was able to irritate evil, and of course, I'm sure they're listening right now because they're always up in that. Let me point up to it. There, that one corner. That's where they're all the time. In fact, just earlier today, I closed my eyes to connect, and I could see this dark mountain range, and of course, I don't know where it's at, but that must be where they stay, I guess, so to speak. And then when I'm here, they come back in, and then when I'm gone, they go back there to wherever the heck that is. But so I'm sure they're listening right now too. But I'd already decided, if they do that same thing again with a dark cloud, I'll go ahead and get the holy water and put my hand up in the cloud so I can at least irritate them. I'm sure it wasn't like anything huge to them, but there's not too many chances I get to irritate evil. And maybe they're going to get mad at me or whatever, and if they do, they do. But if I can make their life a little bit worse, then I'm all for that. So that was kind of grateful for that. And the other thing I had been thinking about is I'm really bad at editing, so I decide what I'm going to do, and it's not going to be like quickly, but I'm going to reach out and find someone that I'm going to send, like, I'll probably do like 4 or 5 pictures, send it to them, and then they can edit it, and then I'll do like a voiceover, like what I see in this pic, next one, whatever. And that way you can actually see what I've seen in my bedroom. Because I feel bad because there's a lot of pictures that I want you to see, and one is, and I wasn't even aware I still had this one because back then when I got the trail cam camera, this was in late 2020 or early 21, I can't remember which one. But then I started getting all these pictures, and then I would save them to my computer. Well, this has been a couple weeks ago. I thought I'm going to go through the pictures and see if there's really any that I just need to delete, that it might be something but it's not. So I'm going through the pictures, and there was a couple that really startled me. That kind of creeped me out because I thought I had seen all the pictures from 2021, but I hadn't. And so that's going to be one of the ones that won't be right off, because I'm going to start off with you see, like a trail of an evil spirit or some and other little things. like one I'm going to include, I'm pretty sure, is I put when I put it in my bedroom, and then I turned it towards me, so of course that's where evil's going to go. Well, I always put it on my dresser. In the dresser, I measured it one time. It's like a lot less than 5 feet. It's like 4 feet and 10 inches or something like that. So when I went through one of the pictures, that picture actually shows that the picture was taken from about 13 feet up, because when you see the picture, you can see the top of the door jamb going into my bathroom. So I figured out, looking at it, it's around 12 to 13 feet, taking the picture looking down. And I thought, I don't think anyone's going to accuse me of saying, hold on, I got a ladder, get up on top, take a picture and all that. And the thing that makes it even more, more believable is that there, you can kind of see there's like, and I've mentioned this before, that evil can control like space and time. So when the picture was taken, they're able to go ahead and, as they take it, they go, they went up to like 12 or 13 feet and then let the picture happen. Which, at the time I didn't know that's possible, but I thought, well, they're evil spirits, and, they're basically fallen angels. So they have that ability. So they actually were able to have the picture taken, but they could do it from like, it had to be at least 12 feet, and I'm thinking more like 13, because it was getting really close to the ceiling, and you're looking down on my bathroom, the top of the door jamb. I'm going into my bathroom. And there's some other ones like that. But that in itself really isn't concrete proof. But on the other hand, how can a picture be taken on a dresser, and then as the picture is being taken, it's like, 8 feet higher, and then the picture is taking? Which doesn't make any sense, because that means space and time had to be altered for that picture to be gone up and then take it. So there's other ones like that I'll include, but I'm going to start reaching out and see what I can find, and I'll do this maybe like once a month or something, because I've tried other programs, and I think I'm trying to make it harder than what it is, but I got other things going on, so I don't want to waste a lot of time. And I thought, I see how these other channels, and I see some of their pictures, and I'm not going to say what I really want to say, but when I look at them, there's really not, at least from my perspective, it seems like there's really a whole lot to see. But when I start showing these pictures, and over time, it'll get progressively more, not really scary, but more proof that it's hard to say, hold it, this isn't, a person walking by or whatever. And I don't know if I mentioned this before, but one of the pictures I'm going to show, that's the only one I'm going to show just by itself. And this is the one that, when I saw it, just blew my mind, because it's going to show an evil spirit and the man who he is controlling. And the part that really kind of confounded me is that there's like these U-shaped devices, and they're lit up with like lights. And I thought, what's the deal on that? Why do they have lights? And then I start thinking, well, evil feeds off power, and the more power they have, then they become more powerful. Well, they must use these lights, and had this deceased man, he's holding these lights that, using that, trying to get more power. And the one thing that I hope it'll happen, but the odds are almost nil. There's a pretty good picture of the person, and this happened in my bedroom during the day. Part of it's lit up, but you can see his face fairly clearly, and this is a deceased man. So I thought, when that time comes, I don't want anyone to say, hey, that was my grandfather, because it's kind of like, I don't want that to happen. But if someone can say, well, I know who that person is, well, and, they said they passed away, 25 years ago. Well, if they passed away 25 years ago, how can they be in a picture? I think this picture was taken in 2022, I think. And then, that's more proof that, yes, there is a heaven and a hell. Because how can someone who died, got buried, they're showing up in my bedroom with an evil spirit? You can't refute that. How would I get a picture of someone that I've never met before? They're already deceased and buried, but they're showing up in my bedroom. And I think it was around 7 o'clock in the morning or something. That was the creepiest thing I'd ever saw up until that time, because I had already gone out of the bedroom, and then I went through the film later that day, and there he is holding these like U-shaped devices that have bright lights on them. And I thought, what are they doing with these lights? And then it finally occurred to me, that's storing power so the evil can use that to get even more powerful. And I assume that's how they work, kind of up their hierarchy, that the more power they get, they move up. I don't know if they get as much power as like a demon or whatever, but I assume, more power they have, the more evil they can, commit against, people like that. But that was most the bizarre thing I ever saw. So when that comes out, I'm going to have that just by itself, because I think it's 4 distinct pics, and on the last, it's either 4 or 5, because it's been a while since I looked at it. But the really cool part, and I don't know if I should use the word cool, but the cool part at the last pic is you can see the evil spirit. And I don't know how anyone can refute that. When you see the pics and all these other ones I've seen, I don't think you can say like maybe I'm mentally unstable or I'm making all this up. Once you start seeing those pics that I've seen, it's gonna make a lot more sense, and then you understand what my life has been like. And I'm not complaining. If I see another 5 demons, next year, whatever, then I will see them, and I'll deal with it as it is, and hopefully the Holy Spirit can, give me a hand. But when you see that, because some of these other ones I've seen from people, it's, personally, I wouldn't show them, but they're trying to make them out more than what they are. But that's my own personal opinion. I'm not an expert on this, but everything I've seen, when you start seeing these pics, then it'll start giving a lot more credibility that, that I'm not making this up or I'm exaggerating. And there's been a few times like where I said they were demons, but they really weren't, and I went back and said, hey, I was wrong. I'm no expert. If I was an exorcist, sure, I'd know if it was a real demon or not, but I'm not. But I'm going to reach out to someone, and I'll start doing like 4 or 5 pics, and I'll do it like maybe once a month. But I'll go ahead and say, hey, these next group are going to come out, because I think I have about 30 pics that I can show that are worthwhile. And of course I might get more as time goes on, because every night I go to bed, I turn on the trail cam and put it right towards me. And like those other 2 that I found, I didn't even know that I had them. I thought I had already gone through all 2021, but evidently I must have missed it. But I'll go ahead and start working on that to find someone, because I'm not going to waste any more time trying to be editing. I'm involved in other things, and I thought I'll just go ahead and pay someone to do it periodically, and then you look at the pics, and I'll do a voiceover, and you'll add that in, what this pic means and what I'm seeing on here and there and all that, and then maybe about once a month. But if I do about 4 to 5 pics, probably, this is June, so probably near, I wouldn't want to do it near Christmas time, but maybe like the first of the year. Those are the ones that you're going to see that there's no way you can just say, oh, I just made this up, or I used trick photography, whatever. Because some of these are like really creepy, and I've seen them so many times now that it's hard for me to get creeped out, but every once in a while I still do because I'm human. But most of the time I go, okay, yeah, whatever. I'll see an evil spirit in the room. Okay, yeah, no big deal. It's just part of my normal life now. But I'm sorry I ran way longer than I was planning on. But I am going to go ahead and reach out and have someone, and I'll give them the pics, and then they can start doing it. Like I say, maybe once a month or maybe every other month. I don't know, but that way you can at least start seeing what I've actually seen in my life. And like I said, the first groups or whatever, it's a little scary, I guess. To me it's like, okay, yeah, whatever. But for people who've never seen them, you'll start seeing an idea of what I've seen. And I wish there was other ways I could take pictures of these people that, like the one, well, I don't even want to go down that road, but because I'll never get a picture of them. But I'm sorry, I was just running really late, but I will eventually start doing the pics. Well, at least I'll have someone do it because I'm not going to waste any more time. But I appreciate everyone watching. Thanks.